Today on To The Point, this is a special edition where we have one of two of the eliminated contestants on season 16 of So You Think You Can Dance.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Welcome on into The Point with Kristen Burt. You might have just seen our interview with Stephanie Sosa. We also have the other eliminated contestant this week from So You Think You Can Dance, Eddie Hoyt.
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I've been asking you, I'm like, how are you doing? But you were pretty good on Saturday when the news came down.
Yeah. I felt way more confident than I thought I would. I mean, going into it, I knew it was going to be me deep down, so I kind of prepared myself ahead of time.
Do you feel like you had that time to sort of process, kind of accept, and then, maybe hope that wasn't the name that was going to be announced? That's always a legitimate
Yeah, it is.
hope.
I think after last week of the routine that I had and the critiques I got, and then going into this week with a new mindset, I was confident that this week was going to go a lot better than the previous week, but I knew I was in the bottom, and I knew I had a chance of going home. So my mind was kind of prepared for this.
In some ways, it's kind of a nice place to be, because I felt like your performance this week, you were in the moment, you felt confident, and that's what I kept saying. I'm like, and I told you this on Saturday after the show, I told you, I'm like, he totally believed in himself and his talents and his capability. Yeah,
definitely had a way different mindset this week, and it felt so good to perform that duet with Sophie, and then work with Travis. It was so amazing. I felt I proved myself this week. More so than the week one.
But that's okay too, because I always think if you can leave on a high note, that's going to be your memory of the show.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad that my last performance was the strongest I could have probably ever done.
You worked with Travis for both pieces this week. You had the group number and you had the duet with Sophie. What did Travis tell you? How did he instill confidence? Because that duet was really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, he's a very simple guy, to say the least, when it comes to choreography. His choreography is very complex with storytelling and movement, yet he himself is very just kind of to the point. He works and choreographs on the dancers. It's very artistic. And he, this works, this doesn't work. You need to do this. You don't need to do, he just is very to the point.
I love it. We're full of puns today.
So it was great working with him. And there was not a lot of stress because he doesn't give you option to stress, because it's kind of just like, oh, that doesn't work. Okay, let's do this. Instead of like, why can't you get that, Right,
and if anyone doesn't really know his process, he's not coming in with this whole routine. He's got the story in his head, and then he executes it on what Eddie's capable of and what Sophie's capable of and what you guys are capable of as a couple on stage. Yeah, it's really kind of a beautiful way to create.
I love it. There's a lot less pressure, and there's more space to enjoy dancing.
I think that one of the hardest aspects of So You Think, and I always say this, is the mental aspect. So
it's the hardest.
It is, isn't it? And how did you keep yourself in a space, especially where the judges were somewhat critical of you in that very first week? How do you get out of that? You have to lift yourself out.
Yeah, it's so hard. I never realized how critical the show is and how little time you have to learn the routine, and how the choreographers really don't care about really emotions or feelings. They're there to do their job, and you're there to do yours, and which isn't bad. That's just life. Mm-hmm. And so going into the first week, I was not in the right headspace, and then after the routine I did and the awful week I had, really week one, it was rough. I knew I was like, oh, I need to reevaluate, take my day off, and understand what I need to do to go into this past week. And it worked out so well for me, and I was so happy. But yeah, the mental part of the show. If you don't know who you are as a dancer, if you don't know who you are as an individual, how you can handle stress, the show is not for you. You need to figure that out before you come. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to figure it out during the show, but sometimes it's too late.
You and I had a long discussion after the show. We probably talked for an hour, maybe.
We did, yeah.
We did.
To say the least.
I know, but I thought it was really interesting because we didn't get the full picture of your story on So You Think You Can Dance, but you've really had to sort of pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get yourself to this point. And I'm not sure. I went home and I actually said this to my husband. I'm like, I don't know if he realizes how much power he has, and there's power in your story. and the fact that you're doing so much good for so many people.
Thank you. I think, yeah, it's hard to. I mean, it's hard for me just with the way I grew up and my family and my history background and everything like that. It's hard to feel that you're reaching people and your story affects because like, oh, other people have worse or same or similar or whatnot stories like me. So why is mine the one that, is making a difference? But I think it's the platform of the show that I was lucky enough to be able to tell my story or part of my story. And it's there's so much to everybody, and I'm just fortunate that I got to share some of my story with everybody.
And I don't want to. I had a friend with me, and you probably know where this is going. But after we all left the restaurant, she went up to you. She had never met you before. She is a member of the LGBTQ community, and started bawling.
Yes, I started sobbing too because she was
Yes.
crying, and I was like. And she was just saying how, like...
It's going to make me cry.
I know. I'm going to get emotional about it. She was just
Yeah.
saying how, like, you're doing so much. And she was telling me, like, she was saying to me that she's like, I don't think you realize what you're doing. And I guess I don't. Because for me, I'm proud of who I am. And this is who I'm going to be. And it's hard. Yes, it's hard for my family.
Yeah.
And I know it firsthand. But to know that other people are in the same boat, it's... Wow.
Yeah, it was a really powerful moment. I'm not gonna try not to cry through this whole interview, but I just saw how powerful that moment was, and I wasn't privy to your conversation with her because I had just sort of stepped away. But I walked back to the garage at the Grove with her, and I know how impactful that was. And we kind of spent a few moments sort of just hugging it out and just realizing that there is so much power in your story, and you need to keep telling it because we do have a country at large right now where everyone's so divided and everything else, but voices like yours are important.
Yeah. It's so
I know,
so
I'm
much.
sorry to make everyone cry.
No, no, it's okay. It's crazy to think that, like, I think it's crazy to think that I was lucky enough to be strong enough to keep going with what I wanted and what my goal was and my purpose is in this world. And I think a lot of people just fall short of that, and it's because maybe they're not mentally strong enough or they don't have the support like I do with friends. And it's definitely a really tough area, and everyone's situation's different. Nobody has, my life is the complete opposite, different, upside down of yours, and everybody around us. And you don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. Nobody does.
Nobody does. And I think too that it's been, important that you moved to Utah this past year, kind of had a dance community kind of accept you and welcome you as family. How did that make a difference between season 15 and season 16?
Life-changing. It was amazing to pick up my life, move myself to Utah, figure out where my bank is going to be, where I'm gonna go to the dentist, and where I'm gonna get my hair cut, and like stupid stuff, but then like you never think of it. It was crazy to flip my life and move across country, and I wouldn't take it back for anything.
Yeah, I know the Sosas have been very impactful in your life.
Amazing, yes. The Sosas I thank for so many things. They've always been there. They're a family that's always been there, and I'm sure their parents and how supportive and always there they are for their kids, and they were there for me. And it's great to go to such a successful studio and a very well-known family studio to like just jump into and be wholeheartedly like invested. It was amazing.
How did that change your dancing over the year?
I had way more stuff to learn. I'll tell you that. Yeah, no, for sure. Moving there, I was like, oh, I'm gonna teach tap to a bunch of kids who don't know how to tap dance, and I'll pick up a couple things here and there. Did not know I was gonna get thrown on the ballroom company.
Of course.
Did not know I was gonna have to do this, that, and that. First day of like ballroom rehearsal, like they're like, okay, Eddie, you're gonna lift this girl. I'm gonna do what?
Wait, who am I lifting?
I'm a tap dancer. We don't lift. Like, no, it was so crazy to like flip into this new like world of dance, really. And like it's the push I needed to now reach my goal of being in the top 10.
Yeah, and this is a studio. Again, we're talking center stage. We talked about it with Stephanie too. There is a legacy of dancers.
Legendary.
It's incredible, and not just So You Think You Can Dance. Of course, Dancing with the Stars and World of Dance. So you have everyone around you that is kind of striving for the same goals that you have.
Yeah, that's both a blessing and a curse. It's really hard to come from a studio that has everybody from Dancing with the Stars Junior, all the All-Stars from Dancing with the Stars, all like the top 5 of World of Dance, and like everybody, like literally everybody. It's crazy. So it's hard to come from that and find your individuality within a successful studio because everybody wants the same thing.
And they're all good too.
And we're all, everybody's like killer at what they do. And so it's definitely gets a little bit competitive. It definitely feels a little, there's tension sometimes, but that's life. And I feel like for some people, they get eaten alive out in the industry because they weren't prepared ahead of time. My studio back home, nothing like Center Stage. Creative Step School of Dance in Franklin, New Hampshire. This tiny little studio behind
New England,
behind a donut shop.
Literally.
I love it. It was so small, and it was so I learned everything from there. And then to come to this studio, huge,
where it's a professional track,
where it's get work done or get out, like kind of deal. It was a culture shock, but it prepared me for the culture shock of the show and the industry.
Where did the tap strength come from? Did you have a great tap teacher? Were you just the kid that was always like shuffling your feet around?
I always loved dance. My sisters did it, and I was never allowed to when they did it, and I was always like putting on their costumes and like
little sparkle.
Yeah, we always liked that. And then I started Highland dancing, which I'm sure you saw the clip.
We saw the clip, which was, come on, that was really cute, Eddie.
The most embarrassing thing in my life. I had no idea they were going to show that. If they did, I would have not. I don't know how.
You wouldn't know what showed up?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know how. I don't know where they got that footage. That picture of me with my. Oh my gosh.
Now it's forever on the internet.
I know. It's going to haunt me too.
No, it's really cute. It's sweet.
But from that, things just kind of like, I started dancing, and then we found a closer studio that had an all-boys tap class. And there was like 12 boys in the class, which is like unheard of.
Yes.
And so I jumped into that class and loved it. And I'm the last of those 12 boys to continue dancing. No way. All of them are now doing sports. I'm in contact with 2 of them, which is crazy because I was like 8 years old when this happened. And so, tap just, I come from a kind of a musical family. I'm very rhythmic. And it just is something that I wanted to perfect and I wanted to work so hard on. And I love the ability to sometimes I get stuttered with words and I don't say the right thing at the right time, but you can't really do that with your feet.
You have to be very clear and concise with taps.
So it's kind of the opposite, and I could really focus in on that because I love just being in a class where you don't have to verbally communicate. You can just...
You had the most beautiful tap routine at the judges round this year.
Thank you.
That was stunning.
Thank you. Yeah, that piece was
it was
to this day.
Freestyle, right?
Yeah. So I actually did that like a couple months prior at a convention, and looked way different than that because it was just freestyle. And I got some great feedback from it, and I was like, maybe this is the piece I should use for the show. Especially, I knew I wanted to do a contemporary tap. I knew I wanted to show the serious side to me because the previous season I was too happy. Which I don't really think is a problem.
I don't think so either, but you want to show levels.
Levels, yes. You want to show that you're adaptable to like the contemporary style. Like, for example, this week, the duet I had to do, I couldn't have smiled the whole time, or it would have made no sense. So, I definitely wanted to show a contemporary tap piece because I love doing that. And you never see it. One, you never see tap because it's a dying art. You never see tap because nobody really teaches it much anymore. There's less performances of it. In the commercial world, there's never really tap. Ballroom is, what really, and hip-hop really just elevate. Even with live concerts, backup dancers, it's something that's very small in the dance community. And so I knew if I wanted to do something, I didn't want to do your typical... showstoppers routine. I wanted to do something that was personal and that people could watch and be like, I understood where he's coming from.
right.
I can listen to this and feel something, as opposed to, oh, that was
You
cute.
made Mary ugly cry.
I did.
She could not stop talking about it. Because I
know.
saw Mary the day after I didn't see her audition live, so I saw her the day
You weren't
after.
there?
I wasn't there. I only saw it on TV. Because you auditioned the day before. Press was there. So
I know.
let's talk with Fox about that.
I know. I need to go back to them about
Oh,
that.
my goodness. But Mary was still talking about it, so
Yeah,
still on her brain 24 hours later.
It was so funny. My favorite clip that I have from the show was her saying, "I don't think I've ever cried over a tap routine before," and that's kind of what everyone messaged me and was saying, and they were like, "I don't know how you do that," and I think it's just finding the flexibility within the dance style. I mean, look at all dance styles. Contemporary, what is contemporary? What contemporary used to be is not what it is now. The only thing that I feel like has kind of stayed is ballet, but that's because it's historical.
Right.
And so I'm just lucky enough that I've taken what I've learned from other classes and been like, hey, let's modernize tap. Tap can be Broadway, it can be hoofing, it can be stomp, it can be it's so much more.
We need to get you a solo on that finale. That's what I said the other night, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. I would love to either show my solo that America has not got to see, or hopefully a duet with an all-star like Evan got to do with Lex last season.
One of my favorites, I always say this, Piano Man, when Zach did it with Aaron.
Zach and Aaron are
Season
so
11.
incredible. Yes, Aaron is one of my favorite. His solo Use Me, that I did after when he did You Really Did It with the trio, with the tap boards.
That's right.
There's been some amazing tap. My all-time favorite is probably Aaron and Melinda, who did When I Was Your Man.
Beautiful.
Just that's what made me
That's what
start.
makes you sing and soar inside.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you have tour ahead, so this is exciting.
Yes, I'm so pumped. Never in my life did I think I was like about to tour. Like, I have people messaging me being like, just bought meet and greets. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're paying money to meet me? That's crazy. Like,
The tour is really fun. Everyone who has done the show, whether it was season 7 or season 11 or season 14, they've all said that tour was their favorite part of the show experience because the competition's over. You guys are now all friends. And you get to tour
Hopefully.
North America because you're going to Canada and the US.
Yeah, it's so exciting. We're going to like 40
cities. They've added a couple extra,
I
so
think
we'll
they
see what
have.
happens. Yes.
Still have not added Utah.
I know we'll have to talk about that. We'll figure that
we
out.
actually all, it was so funny one day, we all were like, why aren't we going to Utah? And they were like,
I know, and Tennessee is not. Tennessee doesn't. And we have 2 Tennessee contestants, so
and
that was another big
Miami's
question.
not one, and we got 2 Miami.
Oh, interesting. We'll
So
have to get back to faculty
We'll
on
have
that.
to, put a pin in that one.
We will. We'll send him an email or something like that. What are your goals? Because you did say you love teaching. It is something that is in your blood.
I love teaching and choreographing. Yes, I've been doing that since I was about 15. Taught my first class, and it was mainly because I grew up in a small studio, and so we needed the help. So I taught a little hip hop class, and then I taught the all boys hip hop class, and then tap here and there, and then choreographed, and just kind of went from there. It also helped too that I was a tap dancer and studios need tap, and so like I was getting called from other studios to teach some classes, which was so much fun. And I think it's because it's a tap. If it was any other style, I don't think I would love teaching as much. I think it's because I love going into a studio that has people who like their typical tap teacher. We do flaps all class. We do shuffles, and I'm like, okay, let's do some body percussion. And they're like, what is this? And I'm like, there's so much to it. And I think it's also that I'm young and I can relate. Like I can get like I tell all my classes I have a keyword that's called switch, and I say anytime in class if you feel stressed, you feel like you don't understand what happened, all you got to say is switch, and I move to something different. No questions asked. We just move on.
Yep.
Because why frustrate yourself? I know out of firsthand from anybody, week 1, I let myself get in my head, and look at what happened. It made me affect my routine. I couldn't perform, and then I got the feedback that I did, and then America felt the way they did, and I was not fortunate enough to like redeem myself. And so I love teaching and being able to share my experiences because I'm fortunate enough to have been so young and already gone through the show twice, and now going on tour when some people, their whole dance career won't even get to do this. So it's
a good life lesson, honestly.
Yeah,
you're going to be able to tell people, this is what happened in week 1, this is what happened in week 2, but here's the important thing that happened in between. That's what the growth, that's the big stuff.
I know. The show to me has always been a dream, and then to achieve that dream, I was always asking, like, as soon as I made top 10, I was asking myself, okay, wait, what is next? I've always had a goal. What can be next? And I didn't even realize what that goal was until like halfway through week 1. My goal was to figure out who I am and my mentality in dance. And this show showed me how I handle things and what I need to do to get me to be the man and the dancer I want to be. And so I give it all to So You Think.
Oh, I love that. And we'll see you back on the finale. We'll see you out there on tour.
Yes.
Is LA in your future, maybe post-tour, or Utah?
I don't know. See, everyone
New
keeps
York?
asking me. I love me some New York. I love the city life. No, but everyone's been asking me what's next and where are you gonna go? And I've since moved to Utah. I've been kind of like a door opens and I'll walk through it. A window opens, I'll climb through. Like, it's kind of up in the air. I'm hoping something will open on tour, maybe off another offer that I feel like this is the direction I should go. If not, I might stay in Utah. I love teaching my kids. I work with all the Dancing with the Stars juniors, so like Haley Bills, Camry Peterson, like Riley Arnold. I love working with them.
They're so great too.
They're so great. And so it's really fun doing that. There's a lot of people shoot movies and TV shows, I'm sure. Steph talked about High School Musical. So yeah, that was shot in Utah, and like I had the amazing opportunity of auditioning for that too, which I wouldn't if I was back home in New Hampshire.
That's right.
Love New England though.
We know.
New England's still great. It's gorgeous. I love visiting. So I don't know what's in store yet.
How about like we'll just put it like TBD, to be determined.
Yes. I will let you know.
Yes, you will. You can come on back, sit in the seat, and give us all of the big news.
Love that.
Yes, Eddie, it was so great having you here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the tears too.
Oh my gosh, I know. Every time I'm so emotional.
It's okay. I was like, you should. I was just saying with Steph too, because you just had a rough time on Saturday, and I was like, that's honest. You should feel exactly what's happening in the moment, and not be like, I'm going to stifle it, or don't do that.
It's so hard to like hone in. Everyone cursed me on like being so emotional and dramatic, but you don't know the process. Like, it's so hard to go through such long days and get such critical feedback, and then for them to finally be like, but we think you're ready for the next round. Oh my God. Like, you can't not be happy or cry or whatnot. So it's
absolutely crazy. All right. Before we do wrap up, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. My Instagram is Eddie_Hoyt. Twitter, I think, is the opposite, Hoyt_Eddie. And that's HOYT. Everyone's like, how do you spell that?
That's so easy.
I think it is too. I think my name's easy too.
I'm still learning Gino's name, so it's hard. I'm
not even gonna try. I'm
gonna have it memorized by heart by week 3. That's what I've decided.
Oh, there you go.
I have to write it a lot. So All right, Eddie. Always good to see you.
Thank
Come
you
back
so much.
anytime.
Of course.
All right, you guys. We do want to thank you for joining us here at To The Point. Of course, don't forget we also have Stephanie Sosa's interview that we did, and on Tuesday on To The Point we have a So You Think You Can Dance judge coming in by the name of Dietrich.
Hey.
Yeah, so come on, join us. We'll be here at 3 p.m. On the East Coast, on the West Coast, and 6 p.m. on the East Coast. So 3 p.m., 6 p.m., you guys got it. We'll see you all here. We want to thank Popcorn Talk and Dance Network for all of your dance news. Check out dancenetwork.tv.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.